Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice.
Pretty voice.
Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss.
A boss.
Join us each week for business owner strategies and success with your hosts Anne Ganguzza and Gabrielle Nistico, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss. A VO boss.
A VO boss.
A VO boss.
Hey, Gabby, before we start the show, I want to talk about a really cool product that we have on the VO Boss website, and it's called the Bookout Builder.
Yeah, I'm excited that we're talking about this because there's a little bit of a misconception about this product, and I want to clear that up.
Ah, yes. While it was originally intended as a method of communicating with your potential clients about when your studio was booked out or when you were booked out.
Regular, we were saying monthly basis or quarterly, either one.
You don't entirely have to do that for your monthly Bookout Builder.
You're not restricted to just that. Because we've had people say to us, oh, but, I don't have dates where I'm unavailable every month and I don't travel that much. Right? And we're like, okay.
That's
no
fine
problem.
with us. Yeah, we've got 3 different options for you. Book out dates, featured videos, and featured clients.
As well as topical and seasonal type things that just have to do with what's current. You don't have to feel obligated to have a book out inside of your Bookout Builder.
Exactly. And this is one way that you can have a consistent way to communicate with your potential clients.
Plus, it's so affordable, guys. Oh my gosh.
Super
Please
affordable.
go to voboss.com. Click on the shop tab.
The branding and marketing section, yep. And now on to the show. Welcome, everybody, to the VO Boss podcast. I'm your host, Anne Ganguzza, along with my lovely co-host, Gabby Nistico. Hey, Gabby.
Hi, Burr.
Gabby.
It's cold outside.
It is cold out. What is happening? Oh, my gosh.
It's cold. It's December.
Well, I guess it is December, right? What is that? What is that noise? Do you hear that, Gabby? It's kind of like a...
Yeah, that would be my heat. Yeah, that's what that is.
Are you kidding? Wait, you have heat? You have heat in your studio there?
Well, no, I have the heat on in the house because otherwise everybody would freeze, and my toes are really cold right now. I mean, I could put shoes on, that might help, but my toes are cold. So.
Gabby, speaking of cold, that reminds me of discussions that I see almost, I swear, on a weekly basis on social media about cold things, like cold calling.
Oh.
I think we should talk about cold calling.
Perfect
today,
time of year. Absolutely.
Right? Perfect time of year. It's cold out. It's cold outside. You're cold. How can we warm people up to us? Using cold calls or cold emails, or what are your thoughts on that, Gabby?
Freaking hate it. Freaking hate it. Couldn't hate it anymore.
Wow, that's a solid opinion there.
Well, look, smile and dial works for some people. There's a certain personality type that is totally good with it and can make it work for them. Mm-hmm. I'm not that person. I accept this.
And I accept this about my personality.
Yeah, it's a limitation, but I'm okay with that.
I just keep thinking, and because every time we're on a meeting, right, how many phone calls do I get during one of our meetings, right? I would say during any given hour, I'm getting like 2 to 3 to 4 phone calls. Mm-hmm. And, by the time the hour is up, I literally either unplug the phone or I just want to pick it up and fling it across the room because they're either automated kind of calls. And like I said, I do a lot of, telephony and voicemail messaging and stuff. And I certainly don't want to shoot my own self in the foot because I enjoy doing that type of work. But when I get a call from somebody that I don't know, from an unassigned number or something that's not in my contact list, the hair on the back of my neck kind of stands up. And it's going to take a lot to get me to pick up that phone.
You're not alone in that. The new norm is that everyone screens calls. You are guaranteed not to get a call back unless you leave a message. And a lot of folks just don't prefer the telephone as a way to communicate anymore.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's going to make a comeback. I mean, the way that it used to be, really. I mean, I enjoy.
It'll be retro.
Well, yeah, and I do enjoy picking up the phone and talking to my clients, the ones that I know, right? I think it really helps in terms of, getting quick answers and communicating effectively with your client to find out like what their needs are. But that's if I know my client, right? And I can pick up the phone and give them a call. If I don't know my client, there are so many unknowns. So many unknowns on both ends, right? The person that's making the call, as well as the person who potentially will or will not pick up that call. And I think we need to really do your research if that is something that you feel is going to help build your business.
I always give my clients the option to call me. To go over details, to discuss the job, to talk about, what direction they want, whatever it might be. They almost never do. Same, because it goes the other way too. They don't want to talk. Like, I'm okay with that.
We're all so busy these days. I think that has a huge impact on it, right?
There's a perception of that too.
Mm-hmm.
There's this perception that we don't have time to talk on the phone. You can make time to talk on the phone. It's not that big a deal.
Yes, and I say that to my friends all the time. Nobody is ever that busy, right?
True. I mean, you and I talk on the phone, but I do feel like it's a novelty. Like, it's pretty funny. But now let me ask you, Anne, so how do you feel about the warm lead as opposed to the cold call? Because they are very different things.
Yes, I certainly think that the warm lead is something that you can kind of grab a hold of and explore and run with. I think that greatly increases your chances of having a successful communication with a potential client. Absolutely. I think that the warm lead, and Gabby, how do
you define it, first of all? Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I was just going to say, your definition of a warm lead is what? Because I'll tell you what mine is.
Okay,
if you share yours.
Right, I'll show me you yours, and you'll show me yours. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Okay, yeah. So I define it as any time I have a referral. If I have a referral from another party that is acquainted with the person that I'm wanting to communicate with, then I can name drop, essentially. Find some common ground, and to me, that qualifies as a warm lead.
Yes, that's pretty much my definition as well. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, I just had a webinar workshop with a talent agency who goes by referrals only. That's their number one criteria for accepting somebody into their talent agency is they first must have a referral so that they know that you're a good person first. A real person.
That has been the LA, New York top tier agent norm forever. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's how they do it. Yeah, you can't even get in the door if somebody on the roster is not willing to go to bat for you.
Well, I absolutely think that is the way to acquire clients successfully. I think you must at least have a warm lead, a mouth-to-mouth referral, like kind of, speaking, I've worked with this person and she's amazing and I think that you should, give her a call, hire her for your next project, that kind of thing. I think that is amazing. I don't think it gets better than that in terms of a really great lead if somebody verbally is going to talk to somebody and refer you. Now, there's also a warm lead that can be a warm lead in an email. So I think that there's also a cold email, right? And then there's a warm email. So I think the warm email kind of follows like the warm, testimonial from a person's like mouth, like saying, yeah, she's great. There's also an email where you can, like you mentioned before, name drop and say, it's so nice to meet you. My good friend and colleague.
My cat just opened the studio door.
Well,
no, my cat just opened the freaking door.
I love cats. They're so smart.
No, he's Houdini. It's up. He's not right in the head. How the crap did he just open my studio door?
Ragnar?
Yes.
Oh my God, he's so
cool. He opened it. That's what
so
that
cool.
Like. He is scary. He's terrifying.
Scary cat.
Okay.
Oh goodness.
So sorry. Continue.
So going back to the warm email, cold email. So I think warm email, as you were talking about before, you could in an email name drop and say, my good friend and colleague, Gabby Nistico, referred me to talk to you. And that, I think, is probably the second best opportunity to meet somebody that could end up in a successful, a successful relationship.
People are less likely to be a and less likely to blow you off when they know there's a mutual acquaintance.
So true. And especially true in this day and age when I talk about, I think every episode, Gabby, I talk about this influx of like digital stuff flying at us on any given day. We have so much information coming at us. We need to be able to weed through, right, the clutter and find the stuff that means something to us. And the same is true with emails, right? I mean, how many times do you look? I don't open every email that I get every day. I don't think you do either. Mm-mm. Well, we know that I don't because I have like 700,000 unread emails in my Gmail. But gosh, I don't open things necessarily from people that I don't know. But if somebody I know sends me an email, I am how many more percentage or times likely to open up that email? If you send me an email, I click on it just almost like 99.9% of the time.
Smart business people today are compartmentalizing their emails into different folders. They're setting up rules for their Gmail accounts. They're making it so that they can better prioritize the email communications that they receive and know who has to take top priority. Yeah. I mean, God knows I do that. So then in terms of, am I going to open that email? Right. If it's a warm email, right? Yeah. If I can differentiate between warm and cold, warm being I recognize who it's from. I recognize maybe something in the subject line or someone in the subject line. Referral from a name, right? That helps. Yeah. And then there's also that kind of that header text where you can read a portion of what's, in the email. And I use Gmail to read my emails. I'm sure everybody has like their own email system, but they usually show like a preview. And so anything in that preview that might indicate that I have knowledge of who this person is, then I am more inclined to open it. And I think that it's so important to kind of have that competitive leading edge to be able to get work and to be able to communicate and acquire new clients. I think what is absolutely critical about the cold calling process and even the warm lead process is understanding that when you first reach out to someone, you are doing just that. You're just making an introduction. You should not be out to sell them in that initial contact, and you should not be super aggressive in that initial contact. And you also don't want to come off as desperate in that initial contact. Yes. It really should just be, hi, this is who I am. We have a few mutual people in common. I thought I'd reach out, say hello.
Yeah.
And, you chat.
Excellent points. Excellent points. And I also think, too, that it has to be about them.
Totally.
Not necessarily, when we're talking about trying to get someone's attention, I'm looking at, thousands of emails coming through my inbox every day. And if it doesn't pertain to me or something that I'm working on or something that I need, right, at the moment, I'm not going to open it. But if it does pertain to something that I need, someone I know, or any one of those indicators, then I'm more likely to open it up. So if you are cold emailing or cold calling, either way, I think you're going to have to be very not aggressive. And it has to be, I think, about them, not about you so much, because what's going to make me want to know you? If you can help me in some way, yeah, that's great. And I think that just shows professionality and a genuine kind of wanting to help you out, and that's going to make me want to respond.
That right there, the wanting to help, right? Mm-hmm. The best salespeople don't sell you; they help you.
Yeah,
and you don't even realize you've been sold.
Yeah,
it's afterward. Exactly. You're like, oh my God. I spent so much money with that person.
What just happened?
Because they were so helpful.
What just happened?
And they built trust, and they built likability, right? All of these things that are
know,
so
like,
important.
and trust. Isn't it?
There we go. I mean, that is it.
Marketing 101. Know, like, and trust.
Totally.
And I'll tell you what, it's so hard cold calling, like the old school cold calling, pick up the phone. There's a certain element of vintage to it where I like to hear that somebody's a human being on the other end of it. And so in that first split second, number one, actually think about it, right? A cold actual physical call, similar to an email, right? The first thing I do is I hear the phone ring or I hear the email ding that I've got. Well, I don't even do that anymore, but I look at my email, right? And I see something has happened visually, or I hear something like my phone rings. I look at the caller ID. If it's not somebody I recognize, I'm very hesitant. Very hesitant. Yeah. So cold calling, too, if you've got your number registered with a phone company, you should make sure that you have a company name that's not going to maybe scare people off. Or if you have something like right now, I get a lot of invalid numbers. That scares me.
Yeah, if you leave a message, it shouldn't be vague.
Yeah, exactly.
I will never call back a vague message. Mm-hmm. And I get them all the time. Hey, Gabby, it's so-and-so. Just
call
give me a
back.
Call when you can. And I'm like, who the hell are you?
Oh, my gosh.
No.
I'm so glad that you said that because I get those a lot. Can you just give me, I'd love to talk to you for a moment. If you could just give me a call back, I'd really appreciate it. And I'm like, I have no idea who you are and I have no idea what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm sorry. I don't really have time to do that. So good advice on that.
And I was talking about that earlier. I was having a moment today where the phone was actually stressing me out.
Yes, you were telling me about that.
And I mean, my gosh, I don't get a ton of phone calls, not compared to other types of industries. So I can only imagine someone whose job is very heavily phone oriented, like it really does. So you have to think about that. You have to know that it's already potentially a source of stress for the person on the other end.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I feel
sorry.
I feel sorry for people who have to do those calls. I really do. Sometimes I play them a nice piece of music. I'll actually answer the phone and I'll play a lovely piece. And sometimes it makes them hold on a little bit longer and then they'll hang up on me.
Nice concerto.
Yeah. You know, it varies on the week. I'll just play the music because sometimes picking up the phone and playing music into it is less insulting to my ear than the phone ringing off the hook. So I hear the phone. I look to see if I recognize anybody that's calling me. Same thing with email. And then it's going to be the first few words out of your mouth, right? Are going to determine whether I decide, and I hate to admit, but I mean, it's gotten to the point where I hang up on people, and I hate to be rude. I try not to be rude, but I will hang up on people if they're not saying things that I want to hear. And so, or if they're not listening to me. Yeah. So that's very similar to how I think an email should be approached. You know, it should be coming from somebody I know or associated with somebody that I know.
My thing with the cold email is try to avoid doing two things. One, stating the obvious, and two, coming across as desperate, because I think both of those are killers. Mm-hmm. It happens way too much. I see way too many voice actors who, I'm a professional voice actor. Yeah. People who profess to be a professional are usually viewed as anything but.
Well, and again, that becomes centric on you and not the client, right?
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
like, okay, yes, you are a professional voice actor. Great. Awesome. Good for you.
Okay.
It's not how are you going to help me? And I think you just need to kind of think about that. And definitely, if you are going to go that route, you need to absolutely research the person that you are contacting, research their industry, research how they might need you and how you might serve them.
And I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning of this. If you're the type of person who can smile and dial and you're okay with the no's and the rejections and the time and the energy that has to go into cold calling, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to
completely,
Yeah, that's great. But if you don't have that or you're intimidated by it, why? You don't have to. Yeah. There's other options.
Well, there's lots of other options. Yeah. There's, the warm email. Either find somebody that you know, find a referral, find something familiar, and then gear that email towards them and how you can serve them. I'd like to give a big, huge, warm shout out to our favorite sponsor, IPDTL. You too can record and sound like a boss, and find out more at IPDTL.com.
They're the coziest. We love them. And If you want to warm up with more boss, we can light a bit of a fire under you. We got lots of ways to do it.
Hey,
you
we're
can
not
check
warm,
out the
Gabby.
website,
We're
Facebook,
hot.
Instagram. We are hot, I know. YouTube, all of our socials. There's plenty of ways to engage us, and we are always looking for our next boss fix. So if you have questions or something that you want the bosses to answer, go ahead and get us an email. We'll do that.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. You're all hot. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your hosts, Anne Ganguzza and Gabby Nistico. All rights reserved. Anne Ganguzza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.